Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your day with us. We're going to begin with that major shakeup at the FBI. Bureau Director Christopher Wray announcing he will resign before President-elect Trump takes office.
Wray was selected by Mr. Trump in 2017, but he's leaving before his 10-year term is up after Trump made it clear he wanted Wray out, picking loyalist Kash Patel to run the agency instead.
And in my view, this is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray while reinforcing the values and principles that are so important in how we do our work.
Mr. Trump has attacked the FBI and Justice Department for what he says have been partisan investigations and prosecutions against him. He recently criticized Wray personally for the director's role in the FBI's investigation into classified documents found at his Florida Mar-a-Lago estate. Beyond the DOJ, the president-elect continues to fill out his second administration with some controversial picks. He named former news anchor Kari Lake, who just lost a Senate race in Arizona, as the next director of the government-run media network Voice of America. We have team coverage of the Trump transition. In just a few minutes, we'll discuss those new appointments with NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa. But let's begin with NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney. And so, Ken, this announcement means Christopher Wray, much like James Comey, will not serve out that full 10-year term. But the position of FBI director, it's not supposed to be like a cabinet post where each president gets to pick who runs the Bureau. Wray said he's doing this, in essence, to protect the Bureau's reputation and integrity. How does stepping aside do that? Walk us through his decision here.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. Well, that's a debatable proposition. I'll tell you what the thinking was among Chris Wray and his team, according to my reporting, which is that, look, he had a stark choice in front of him. He could have forced Donald Trump to fire him in January when Donald Trump took office, or he could have bowed out the way he did and agreed to resign. And he thought that by agreeing to resign, he would spare the Bureau the trauma of a firing and perhaps spare them some more heated criticism, even though, as you point out, Donald Trump has already criticized Chris Wray, but much more heated criticism that might have come from a presidential firing. You know, just a couple of days ago, Senator Charles Grassley wrote a letter excoriating Wray and the Bureau and making all kinds of baseless charges, and they really wanted to avoid a similar kind of episode with Donald Trump. Whether that was the right move, historians will decide. There was certainly an argument to be made that this is such a norm-shattering event that Wray should have forced the president to fire him to underscore the fact that this is the second FBI director now that Donald Trump has forced out short of his 10-year term, guys.
Ken, what's the reaction been like from the rank and file at the FBI?
There's a lot of concern. Look, Wray was a popular FBI director. He tried to, sort of sail the ship through the choppy waters of the past 7 or 8 years as the FBI was buffeted by criticism. There's certainly concern about the potential for Kash Patel as the FBI director.
Yeah, let's talk about Kash Patel. That is who the president-elect has already chosen to replace Wray. We know he has been a fierce critic of the Bureau, saying he would shut down the Hoover building. He's been meeting with senators recently. Is he meeting much resistance from Republicans at this point?
Not a lot, but it's hard to know exactly how senators are going to come down in the end. By the way, we believe, we have reporting that he's walked back his vow to shut down the Hoover building, although the Hoover building is crumbling and the FBI would love to move out of there. But look, Republican senators don't appear to be opposing Patel on the grounds that he's made some extraordinary statements about, for example, going after journalists or using the FBI to punish Donald Trump's enemies, or the fact that he has a list of 60 deep state figures in his book who are mainstream Washington figures who he says are sort of enemies. That's not the reason they're going to oppose him. There are deep concerns about the fact that he really lacks the qualifications of any previous FBI director. This is the premier law enforcement agency. But, there's so many other controversial Donald Trump nominees that it becomes a numbers game in the end. It remains to be seen whether a handful of Republicans are going to stop all of them, guys.
All right, Ken Delaney, and appreciate your reporting. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, President-elect Trump is running out his picks for his second administration.
As we mentioned last night, he said he wants his ally, former Arizona news anchor and former Senate candidate Kari Lake, to serve as the next director of the government-run international media network, Voice of America. In a post on Truth Social, Mr. Trump said Lake would, quote, ensure that the American values of freedom and liberty are broadcast around the world fairly and accurately, unlike the lies spread by the fake news media.
For more, let's bring in NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa. Ali, good to have you with us. So we just mentioned some of her background: news anchor. She ran 2 unsuccessful campaigns here. But what does her appointment potentially mean for Voice of America? What is its role around the world?
Yeah, guys, good morning. Well, as you mentioned, Voice of America is funded and run by the government. It has around 1,000 employees and a budget of over $350 million a year. It also broadcasts in 49 languages and reaches over 350 million people per week, according to its website. So this is a huge job with a lot of responsibility. And this pick particularly is getting a lot of attention because of some of the past positions and opinions that Kari Lake has had and adopted in recent years. Remember, she has positioned herself in recent years as a strong ally of President-elect Trump. She's also become a very fierce critic of the industry she had a decades-long career in, and she's adopted conspiracy theories specifically around election integrity and political interference, even using her denial of President Biden's victory in 2020 to fuel her failed 2022 gubernatorial campaign that, of course, as you mentioned, she lost and even tried to overturn the results for. So remember, this position also requires Senate confirmation, so it's very likely she's going to be questioned about some of those past positions and opinions when this does go to the confirmation process, guys.
Ali, the president-elect also announced several other names for roles in his administration, including a few of his major longtime donors. Talk about who they are.
Yeah, there was a flurry of announcements by President-elect Trump last night, and among them were these picks of several of his former donors to ambassadorships. One of them, Daniel Newland, who Trump says boasts a nearly 30-year career in law enforcement and as well as an injury law practice, to be ambassador to Colombia. He picked Peter Lamelas, a Cuban-American physician and businessman, as ambassador to Argentina. And he picked Leandro Rizzuto, a former Con Air executive and consul to Bermuda, for an ambassadorship to the Organization of American States, guys.
Ali, before we let you go, we do want to ask you about this breaking news. President Biden granting clemency to more than 1,000 people, the largest single-day act of clemency by a sitting president. What are the details?
Yeah, we've been expecting this to happen. The White House has been previewing it, but we didn't know exactly when it would actually happen. But the White House this morning is announcing that the president will commute sentences of almost 1,500 offenders and the pardonings of 39 others, marking the biggest number of commutations and pardons up until this point. And the White House says all of these offenders are, quote, nonviolent and have been placed on home confinement for at least a year, adding that they had shown, quote, successful rehabilitation and a strong commitment to making their communities safer. And the White House says that we should expect more of this to happen before the president leaves office in just 39 days, guys.
Ali, thank you very much.
Investigators revealed new evidence in the case against 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, who has been charged with the murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Police say fingerprints found near the scene where Thompson was fatally shot match those on the gun found on Mangione when he was arrested, linking him to other key pieces of evidence.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown. We were also able at our crime lab to match the person of interest's fingerprints with fingerprints that we found on both the water bottle and the Kind bar near the scene of the homicide.
In addition to the prints and a 3-page manifesto found on Mangione's person at the time of his arrest, sources familiar with the investigation say Mangione also had a notebook that contains even more incriminating evidence. Mangione has been denied bail and is resisting extradition attempts to get him from Pennsylvania to New York to face trial.
NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro joins us now from Huntington, Pennsylvania, with more on this. Valerie, good morning. So between the fingerprints and the notebook, we know the evidence against Mangione does appear to be mounting. What more can you tell us about what the investigation is uncovering?
Joe and Savannah, good morning. Those fingerprints certainly seem to be a key piece of evidence in this case at the time. The NYPD commissioner mentioning fingerprints found on a water bottle and a Kind Bar wrapper. If you'll remember last week, the NYPD put out surveillance photos of the person of interest they were looking for in this case. Those photos were taken from a Starbucks near the scene of the shooting, the morning of the shooting. And police indicated that that's where the suspect or a person of interest had purchased a water bottle as well as Kind Bars. Again, yesterday, police now announcing that Mangione's fingerprints were recovered from that water bottle and those protein bars. Police sources also saying that Mangione was found to be carrying a notebook at the time of his arrest with various writings. A quote from that notebook reading, "What do? You whack the CEO at the annual parasitic bean counter convention. It's targeted, precise, and it doesn't risk innocence." Other writings seeming to indicate that the person who is planning the shooting chose to use a gun rather than a bomb so as to not risk endangering innocent people. Joe?
Valerie, we have more information also from his digital footprint. There's this now deleted Reddit account that belonged to Mangione. It featured multiple posts about his chronic back pain. We're learning more about that. Also about his social media generally. How is all that impacting the investigation?
Savannah, that Reddit post also seemed to indicate that Mangione had some sort of back surgery earlier this year. And in speaking to those who encountered Mangione over the last several months, they also indicated that he complained about suffering from this chronic back condition, this chronic back pain. There is a prominent photo on his X account showing an X-ray image of a back. It's unclear if that is an X-ray of Mangione's back, but it does appear to show some extensive back surgery. That Reddit post, he also mentioned suffering chronically from that condition and wrote extensively about the problems that a young person could potentially face in trying to get surgery for something like that, finding a surgeon able to perform that surgery on someone so young, something that he certainly complained of.
Valerie, Mangione's attorney has remained adamant his client's going to fight extradition to New York, where he would face murder and other charges. What else are we hearing from his defense right now? And just remind us, legally in this case, what are the next steps?
Yeah, at this point, his attorney has indicated they will continue to fight that extradition. That process could take up to 30 days. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, however, has indicated that she is seeking a governor's warrant. She says she is working with authorities in New York as well as the governor here in Pennsylvania to secure that. So it'll remain to be seen whether the extradition process will play out over those full 30 days or if he could be brought to New York any sooner than that. Joe and Savannah.
Valerie Castro in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Well, on the West Coast, that destructive wildfire in Southern California has now burned more than 4,000 acres near Malibu. Firefighters are racing to contain it while thousands of residents remain under evacuation orders. As the weather starts to cooperate, some people are getting to return home to find charred debris where their homes once stood. NBC's Dana Griffin has the latest.
This morning, wild weather on both coasts, with floods in the Northeast overnight and in Malibu, California, firefighters beating back the flames of a destructive wind-driven wildfire. Water and bright pink fire retardant dropped from the skies. A super scooper plane collecting water from the ocean, part of the air attack.
Oh, I got very lucky this time, and it burned everything but my house.
A number of homes now destroyed, residents returning to comb through the ruins. Thousands still under evacuation orders and warnings, including celebrities like Jane Seymour, who posted dramatic photos of the flames near her home. And screen legend Dick Van Dyke, captured on his Ring camera evacuating, along with his wife Arlene and their pets.
It was coming over the hill, you could see it. And oh my God. And we got out of here.
Van Dyke, who turns 99 tomorrow, says he was outside struggling, trying to unsnarl his fire hose when neighbors showed up.
I was trying to crawl to the car. I had exhausted myself. I couldn't get up. And three neighbors came and carried me out and came back and put out a little fire in the guest house and saved me.
This community fire brigade also joining the fight. Local civilians who've been trained to help protect those around them.
I lost my parents' house. A lot of my friends lost their houses.
While across the country, a storm system bringing powerful winds and heavy rain to the Northeast, leaving cars stranded in a flooded tunnel in Boston. Thousands without power, and New England residents under flooding and high wind warnings overnight. as Americans across the country clean up after very different winter weather.
Our thanks to Dana Griffin for that report. Well, so far, firefighters have contained at least 7% of this. Is the Franklin fire in Malibu, and more than a dozen structures have sustained damage.
So let's get right to meteorologist Angie Lassman with more on the weather conditions for those firefighters in California. Also snow in the Great Lakes.
Yeah, she's covering it all. Angie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. We've got a lot of things going on. Let's start out west where, yes, things are going to get better. We're seeing some improvements already. We're seeing more of an onshore flow. That brings the winds off the water, so winds from the west. And ultimately, that helps us raise those humidity levels, so we're not talking about such dry air in place over that same region. We're also seeing lighter winds. This is even a big difference from what we were dealing with yesterday, especially yesterday morning. Those winds are going to continue to calm. This is going to help us reduce that threat as well. So things are looking up out west across parts of Southern California as far as the fire weather goes. Meanwhile, for parts of the Great Lakes, things are going to start to ramp up and conditions will continue to deteriorate. We've already got 11 million people under these winter alerts. And once again, no surprise that most of those alerts are downwind of the lakes. They do extend into portions of the eastern side of the state of Michigan as well, out towards Detroit, but otherwise downwind of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. Those are a couple of spots that we're going to see some really impressive snowfall over the next day or so. Here's how it plays out today. There's some of those heaviest snow bands setting up, and some of these could give us 2 to even up to 3 inches of snow per hour. So we're really going to start to see that piling up in a quick amount of time for locations, again, on the eastern side of those lakes. We'll still see some of that in play for tomorrow, although the bands will be a lot lighter, so not quite as impressive for our day tomorrow. But we're not completely done with the lake effect snow as we get into tomorrow. But by the time we get into the weekend, we'll see some much milder highs start to settle in. We'll even see some rain in the picture for folks there. So it's a couple of days of picking up some snowfall. And those snowfall totals, once again, impressive, especially the closer you are to Lake Erie in Ontario. Notice we've got some spots that could receive about a foot and a half, but even localized areas, isolated albeit, but localized spots could get up to 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet. So this will be something that causes likely some difficulty when it comes to road travel once again across that region. Meanwhile, we've got some of that really chilly air spilling out of Canada and into parts of the upper Midwest. You will notice this as you step out the door in this region today, and you can see the alerts that are up because of it. We've got Duluth included in there, and for good reason. -17 is the actual temperature at this hour in Duluth, but -38 is what it feels like. We've got 23 degrees below in Minneapolis for what it feels like, a wind chill of -23 in Green Bay, 12 below for the wind chill in Chicago. So we're waking up to some very cold conditions across most of the upper Midwest, and this cold air is going to spill to the east here over the next couple of days. But as we head to the afternoon hours, not a whole lot of improvement for those afternoon temperatures. We're going to run way below normal for Chicago today, 20 degrees below normal, so your high just 17 degrees. Bundle up for sure if you're heading out this morning and you're going to be out throughout the day. 27 for the high in Columbus. The good news is if you are looking for maybe some more mild conditions or not quite as chilly air, it's going to arrive, but we just got to wait a little while. So even as far east as New York and Philadelphia over the next couple of days, we're going to see temperatures in the 30s. A big difference from what we dealt with yesterday in New York City, where we were close to 60 degrees. So a roller coaster ride when it comes to the temperatures, but look what happens by the time we wrap up the weekend and into next week. We go from the 30s on Saturday in New York City to the 50s on Monday. A similar story for Chicago. You're into the low 40s and then mid 40s on Monday. A little improvement, but that'll help, especially considering your high today is 17 degrees there. We've got the 60s for Norfolk. We've got the upper 50s for Roanoke by the time we get started next week. So we'll see some improvements for sure. Meanwhile, out west, we're going to ramp up another system that's going to bring some heavy snow and some heavy rainfall across that region here as we get into the weekend.
I can't believe the swing here. It was so warm yesterday,
Right.
freezing this morning.
I know.
I've lost track of what's normal for this time of year. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
Exactly. I mean, we shouldn't be running close to 60 degrees, definitely in New York City,
Yeah.
but also Chicago shouldn't have a high temperature of just 17. So in the middle of those is kind of
Between there. All right.
where we should be.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.